It's a time where some adults convince children that a man with a beard has been watching them and judging their behaviour. And if their behaviour has satisfied this bearded fellow, he will reward them. So, since this is a very strange holiday for children, I thought I'd look at what kids are being taught about the birth of the son of this bearded fellow. Wait, you thought I was talking about Santa? Hello, I'm the Skeptic. I watch videos on YouTube that make extraordinary claims, whether that's flat earth or strange conspiracies, but mostly the claim that a god is real, and then explain why I can't accept their position. Before we get into today's video, please do subscribe, hit that bell notification to be alerted for my next video, and drop a like. That would be a Christmas miracle. Since Christmas is really a time for spoiling the kids in your life, I thought I'd take a look at an animation of the birth of Jesus Christ, a Christmas story for kids. While some folks think that Mary cheated on Joseph and came up with this elaborate story, others genuinely do believe that all this is true. And using a child-friendly animation to teach younglings all this, I'm not sure how I feel about that. But let's take a look.
This is the story of how Jesus Christ, the Savior of the world, was born.
Why did I choose this and not Spider-Man, a much more worthy saviour in my opinion?
The story begins in a place called Nazareth. Nazareth was a quiet, sleepy little town where most people were farmers and shepherds.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Nazareth is in the Middle East, right? Maybe these folks here are on vacation. This one should probably watch out. Red hair and pale skin in the sun could get sunburn. Though, I guess it is December.
In this town, there lived a young Jewish woman named Mary. She was a very obedient and God-fearing woman. She helped her parents in the field and did her chores in the house. She was kind and helpful to everyone, and people liked her very much. Mary was going to get married soon to a good and honest man named Joseph.
What is up with all these tourists? Is no one from Nazareth featured in this story?
A few days before Mary's engagement, she had a visitor.
Well, with a giant hole in the wall, it's hardly safe.
He was a very special guest.
I work in voiceover, and it would only take a few minor tweaks to make this story sound very sordid. A change in music and tone, and we get...
A few days before Mary's engagement, she had a visitor. He was a very special guest.
An angel sent by God from heaven. The holy angel Gabriel visited her in her room and called her in her sleep.
If someone comes into your room without consent, what should you do about it?
Freeze! Sucker! It's okay, I don't want any trouble. You got trouble now, you piece of trash!
And how would you know that this person even was an angel? They could just be a town drunk with a good story. You'd need verification.
When Mary opened her eyes, she saw a heavenly figure bathed in a pool of white light floating beyond her window.
Please don't use words like bathed and white when describing sneaky people coming into your room when you're sleeping. It sounds disgusting.
It wore bright white robes and had big silver wings fluttering behind him.
I know I've imagined seeing things when I first woke up. That morning haze is a thing. But if Mary did see someone standing over her dressed in white when she woke up, how can you verify it was an angel that had wings? What if she imagined it or hallucinated?
At first, she thought she was dreaming. But later, when she heard the angel's voice, she realized this was no dream.
Oh, so you can't imagine hearing voices in your sleep anymore. I'm convinced.
Mary, do not be afraid. I am Gabriel. God has sent me to you. He loves you, and you have been chosen for something very special. Your kind heart and pure soul is of great value to the Lord. You are fortunate that God has chosen you above everyone else for this special task.
I'm not afraid. I'm honored to know that God has chosen me to carry out His wish. I am lucky to be a favor to God.
Bless you, Mary. God is pleased with you. I have come to tell you that soon you will have a son. He will be a great king one day, and he will be loved by everyone.
I mean, as chat-up lines go, that's terrible. And let's not forget that Gabriel was chatting up someone under 18, in fact, under 16, someone who was apparently just vacationing in Nazareth.
He will be called the Son of God. Mary was at first shocked at what Gabriel had to say.
If a man dressed all in white came into my room and I'd hallucinated wings on them and he used a chat-up line like that on me, I'd be shocked too.
However, she remained calm and listened to everything that the angel had to say.
Isn't that a common trauma response, to freeze and hope it goes away?
Then she spoke to Gabriel.
But how is this possible? I'm not yet married.
Do not be afraid, Mary. The Spirit of the Lord will take over you.
Does anyone else feel like Gabriel is grooming here? I feel a little bit sick.
And you will be blessed with a son. He will be called the Son of God.
Yeah, no, this is just wrong. If this was any other situation other than an undemonstrated angel breaking into a room, the law would definitely be involved.
He will do great things for the people. He will be hailed as the King of Jews and the Savior of mankind.
If I say what amazing things this kid could potentially do, will you let me and my floaty skyman impregnate you? Why is this being taught to kids?
I'm grateful for whatever the Lord has done for me. I'm happy to have His wish come true through me.
The Lord is with you, Mary. You are blessed. Go in peace.
Now I can't get it out of my head that this is some kind of sordid scene. I'm so glad that adult music stopped earlier. This could have sounded very different.
Gabriel then left the house of Mary and returned to heaven. In a few days, Mary became pregnant. In those days, it was very unusual for a girl to become pregnant before marriage.
Was it though? Conception still works the same regardless of marital status. And if Mary was visited by someone in the middle of the night and woke up to see lots of white, is it really surprising that she did end up pregnant? Still, nothing suggests that it was a god that did it. It's still just a story.
However, Mary explained everything to Joseph about the angel and God's wish and the son they were going to have. Joseph was a good man, and he accepted everything.
No, I didn't cheat on you, Joseph. This elaborate and unconfirmed story happened.
He married Mary in a few days. In those days, the king of the land announced a census. He wanted every citizen of his country to be counted and documented. Since Joseph was actually from Bethlehem...
Wait, he was just visiting, but from another place in the Middle East? Why does he look like he's more Northern European in heritage?
He had to go there to be counted. Bethlehem was a long way from Nazareth. Joseph and Mary had a long and difficult journey ahead to Bethlehem. There were no cars or other means of transportation except for a donkey. The whole journey had to be made by foot. Mary sat on a donkey and Joseph walked behind them. It was even more difficult for Mary since she was going to give birth to her baby. After many, many days of walking through the desert, Joseph and Mary finally reached Bethlehem. It was getting very dark when they reached the town. They desperately needed a place to rest and spend the night. But all the inns were full, and nobody would give them space to spend the night.
Mary's bump grew quick, just saying.
Joseph walked all over the town, knocking at the doors of houses and shops, one after the other, but nobody would allow them to come in. Mary was about to give birth, and it was important that she had a safe and comfortable place for the baby and herself. Joseph and Mary kept feeling hopeless. After searching for a while, Joseph found an empty barn built for cows. There was plenty of fresh straw there. Joseph used the straw and managed to make a bed for Mary.
Wasn't Joseph supposed to be a carpenter? Surely he could have pulled out his Batman-esque utility belt and built her a bed with some of the wood from the barn.
Later in the night, something magical happened.
Poor woman. She's about to give birth. You mean... Never mind.
Mary gave birth to a beautiful baby boy.
Is it technically magical when humans have been given birth for hundreds of thousands of years? Whilst it is a fascinating process and extremely difficult for the female reproductive system to do what it does, it's not really magical. It's incredible, but not magical. Unless the fact he's saying it's magical was because it was a boy. But wasn't Mary told by the angel Gabriel that it was going to be a boy? That's not magical. It's expected.
Joseph made a small bed of fresh straw in the manger and laid him there. It was warm and comfortable, and the baby slept happily in the manger.
Why is the wrap that it's in glowing? Is it radioactive? Are we witnessing the original X-Men where the baby made contact with contaminated blankets and gained the ability to walk on water and change liquid consistency and flavour? That would be a cool story.
Mary was happy that the predictions of the angels had come true. Jesus Christ, the Savior of this world, was born in a humble manger.
Is it a prediction if all the angels said was, "You will have a boy," which had a certain percentage chance of happening? Babies are born all the time, and there's a chance it will be born male. It would have been better to have said, "You will have a boy that will be born in a shed next to animals. The blankets you wrap it in will glow yellow, and your carpenter husband won't even build you a bed." That's way more specific.
That same night, while Joseph and Mary were looking for a place to stay the night, not very far away, 2 shepherds were out looking for their sheep on a hill. Suddenly, they were blinded by a bright light from the sky. They opened their eyes to find a beautiful angel in front of them with long golden hair and silver wings. She wore a shimmering white and gold dress which sparkled in the moonlight.
How do those men know it was an angel? How could they demonstrate it to be the case?
The shepherds did not know how to react and were amazed. Then the angel spoke to them.
Do not be afraid. I have come to give you good news. Tonight, in the town of Bethlehem, a baby boy has been born. His name is Jesus. He will be known as the Savior of the world. You will know it is Jesus when you see a baby boy wrapped in a clothes in a manger.
Apparently, it's the only kid around that has glowing blankets. Yeah, I won't let that go.
Go to the villages and let everybody know of this happy news.
Villages? I thought this was in the Middle East, not Scandinavia. This whole thing has been so inaccurate. I mean, other than the fact it's a story about an undemonstrated supernatural being.
Let everybody know that Jesus, the Savior of the Jews, was born today. Go in peace now and spread the good news.
The shepherds were happy and shocked at the same time. They were overjoyed at the fact that a Savior was born, and they ran towards Bethlehem to find baby Jesus.
So they saw something they couldn't explain. That thing apparently spoke to them. They accepted what it said with no questions and ran to a whole other place to see a baby they didn't know. That's a little bit creepy.
The King of the Jews, who had been born in a humble manger.
I'm announcing my next child as the King or Queen of the Mormons. Apparently just saying it makes it true.
When they eventually found the baby in the manger in Bethlehem, they praised him and bowed down in worship. On the night that Jesus was born, 3 wise men were traveling on their camels across the desert. Suddenly, there felt a flash of light come down on them. They looked up at the sky and they saw a bright star. It was a kind of star that they had never seen before. The 3 wise men were aware of the prophecy of Jesus.
Where on earth did this prophecy come from? It's not a prophecy if the event has already happened. That's just called news.
They were waiting for the Star of Bethlehem to appear, and when they saw it, they were overjoyed. It meant that the Savior of the world and the King of the Jews was born.
That's a massive leap. A bright light could mean anything. An explosion, lightning, a meteor. I saw a star 2 nights ago that I hadn't seen before. Does that mean I will meet the rainbow unicorn called Betty, and she will be the saviour of almond milk lattes?
At the time of Jesus' birth, the country was under the rule of King Herod, who was a very selfish and evil king. When the 3 wise men informed King Herod of the star they had seen in the sky and what it had meant, King Herod was worried that he would lose his kingdom to this baby boy.
Wait a moment, didn't King Herod the Great die a year before Jesus was supposedly born? I know that's up for debate, but some historians suggest it is the case, that he died in 5 BC. There are some reports that he died in 4 BC, which is when Jesus was supposedly born, 4 years before BC, which makes no sense. And some say that Herod died in 1 BC, 1 year before Christ, but actually 3 years after Christ. This is why I use BCE, before the Common Era, and the year 2021 of the Common Era. That way you don't have to subscribe to such nonsense.
He told the wise men to find the baby Jesus and let him know where the baby was. Although the king informed the wise men that he wanted to find the baby so he could go and worship him, Herod was actually plotting to kill the child.
And this cuts out that Herod supposedly killed all the babies or baby boys in the land to try and find Jesus, something that historians agree never actually happened.
He feared that Jesus would grow up to overpower him someday. The 3 wise men followed the star for several days and found baby Jesus in the manger. They were surprised to find the future King of Jews lying in a barn. They found the barn in which Jesus was born a few days after he was born,
and may have questioned why Joseph had been sitting around for a few days, not building beds with his carpentry skills. I mean, I would have.
Finally, the star stopped right over the manger. They smiled at Mary and bowed down in reverence to the new baby. They had brought gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh for the baby. These were very valuable gifts and only given to kings. It was highly unusual for anybody to give these precious things to a newborn baby.
Just because the baby received gifts like this doesn't demonstrate that it actually was a king. These gullible folks may have just assumed that a glowing light was offering the truth.
However, this was no ordinary baby, and the wise men fully understood the purpose of Jesus' birth. And so, now you know the story of Christmas, and how the mighty Savior of the world started his journey on earth. The story shows us that great things can have small and humble beginnings.
To me, it just tells us that folks will believe anything. It's a fun story, but there are, in my opinion, better kids' stories out there. Just get a subscription to some streaming services and you'll see. I think this animation is okay for kids as long as it isn't asserted to be the truth. But maybe you think differently. Where do you stand with kids being taught this story? Let me know in the section below. For me, I'm going to skeptic this off as not taking anything away from my Christmas spirit. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. From me, the skeptic, stay safe, keep thinking logically and ask questions. Skepticism is the first step towards truth. See you next Saturday.